Hey, welcome to Coffee, Coffee, Coffee. Today we are doing top 3 versus top 3 90s rom-coms. So the way this works is that we have individually, separately, on different realms, thought about 90s rom-coms and come up with our top 3. And we've also selected scenes from each one of the things. Maybe our favorite, maybe not. Yeah. But a scene that we like anyway.
I think I picked my favorite scene from each movie.
Okay. Yeah. All right, good. So we will start at the bottom, which would be Kayla's number 3.
Yes.
What is it?
So my number 3 is Runaway Bride.
So Julia Roberts.
Richard Gere. More well-known, I think, would be Pretty Woman, which I'm not
same people.
Yeah, I mean, as far as they work together on that movie, but I like this one better. I think it is lighter. You know, like the subject matter in Pretty Woman is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Was it late 80s? I don't even technically know.
It was the 90s. Probably 90.
Yeah, I think it was.
Because it was her breakout role, I think, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. But the characters in Runaway Bride are really great. Yeah,
I feel like the whole movie is just a feel-good kind of movie. It's got a great cast. Joan Cusack is also in it. She's one of my favorites. And Laurie Metcalf is in it.
Roseanne fame.
And the guy from Grounded for Life is also in it. And the guy from Law and Order. I can't think of his name either. But the gist of the story is that this woman can't commit. She always leaves guys at the altar. She's the runaway bride.
Right.
And I just think it's an interesting movie because it's funny, but it also takes a good look at, being afraid to commit, but also, what does that really look like? Because Maggie kind of gets lost in like, what is she really looking for?
Right.
So this scene that we're going to watch, I think kind of, it's a good one because Ike, the Richard Gere's character, he's this journalist, and they are, he writes this article that basically embarrasses her terribly. He doesn't know her at the time, and he writes this article that makes her sound like a man-eater. And actually, he may even use the word man-eater in it. But he then comes to her town because she basically wants to let him write another article, a true article. He gets fired from his job. And so she's like, you need a way to redeem yourself. Write an article about me, but use true facts. So they're at a luau that is going to be celebrating the impending marriage of Maggie and her current fiance.
Okay. Which is the guy from Law and Order, right?
The guy from Law and Order. Okay, here we go.
You were so lost you didn't even know what kind of eggs you like. Yes, that's right. With the priest, you wanted scrambled. With the deadhead, it was fried. With the other guy, the bug guy, it was poached. Now it's like, egg whites only. Thank you very much.
That is called changing your mind.
No, that's called not having a mind of your own. Maggie, what are you doing? You really want that guy up there to drag you up Annapurna for your honeymoon? You do not want to climb Annapurna!
Yes, I do!
No, you don't. You want a man who will lead you down the beach with his hand over your eyes just so you can discover the feel of sand under your feet. You want a guy that wake you up at dawn. He's just bursting to talk to you. Can't wait another minute just to find out what you'll say. All right?
That's a good way to say that you're right by walking away.
Right. Yeah. Well, the scene does continue, and she has her say, which I think she basically gives it right back to him, and it is a good scene. But I just for time's sake, I wanted to edit it down a little bit. But I feel like this movie is so good because it is. There's a little bit of a little bit of maybe cheesiness. Like when he was talking about that, I couldn't help but think, a woman could just walk along the beach with her eyes closed if she's just wanting to feel the sand. But, it's nice, I think.
Yeah. And he's totally right, though, about she was just letting the guys choose her life for her.
Yeah. And you have never, even though we've been married for 18 years, you've never awakened me just to find out, what am I going to say? Like sometimes
I know what you're going to say, huh?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Give me my coffee first. So that is my number 3.
Okay. Your number 3. Very interesting, because my number 3 is Notting Hill.
Oh,
which
also
is
Julia Roberts.
Yep. And Hugh Grant.
Yes.
In England.
In England. Notting Hill, England. Yeah.
She is an actress. She plays an actress. Very famous celebrity, right?
Yeah.
That was a really hard role for her to stretch
right.
and do.
Right. Yeah.
But he's a bookshop keeper.
Yeah.
Bookshop keeper? Is that how you say it?
A shopkeeper.
Shopkeeper of a bookstore.
Right. He is not an accountant. No.
Right. Yeah. And they meet in his bookshop when this guy is trying to steal a book.
Right.
Like he sticks a book in his pants.
Yeah.
And then he ends up asking her for his autograph, and she says, "You should be in jail." Signs her name on there.
Right.
So
yeah.
That's a good little scene there. That's not the one I've chosen for it.
Yeah.
But you are, of course, familiar with that movie.
Yeah. I think it was maybe the first Hugh Grant movie I'd ever seen, and I immediately was like, I really like this guy. Like as far as the acting, he's just very likable.
Yeah.
Julia Roberts,
and he does kind of the same thing in a lot of the stuff. He's the same kind of mannerisms, but I guess that's that's him.
Yeah.
Although Julia Roberts does that too in a lot of her stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And he, I think the good thing about this movie, I didn't put it on my list, although it was like number 4, like if I had kept going. So it's really good. I think the reason I didn't pick it is there's a little bit of language, I believe, and just a little bit more like adult content. And I like more innocent, type movies. I think that's what, to me, still makes a romantic comedy really excellent when they can just keep it about romance, actual romance, not what some people confuse.
That's true.
That's
true.
Yeah.
So the scene that I chose, they have just been at a dinner party at a friend's house, and she was there just kind of as his companion, and the guy from Downton Abbey, whose name I can't remember. His real name.
Oh, I forgot. He's in it.
Yeah, he's on there, and he doesn't recognize her as the celebrity that she is at first. But so this is after that party, and they're just on a little walk.
There is communal gardens in the middle of them. They're like little villages.
Let's go in.
No, that's the point. They're private villages. Only the people who live around the edges are allowed in.
You abide by rules like that?
I don't know, no, but others do. And I just do what I want. Right. Whoops, the daisies.
What did you say?
Nothing.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
You said whoopsie daisies.
No one says whoops, daisies, do they? I mean, unless
There is no one left, because no one has said whoopsie daisies for 50 years, and even then it was just little girls with blonde ringlets.
Exactly. Right. So here we go again.
He's trying so hard to be a man.
What? Oh, whoops, a daisy. Yeah, well, it's a disease. It's a clinical thing. I'm taking pills and having injections. I'm told it won't last long. I don't think that's a good idea. Really, it's quite tricky. Anna, good. It's hard on it. No, it's not. It's easy. What?
Come on, Flopsy.
Right.
That's from Peter Rabbit, right?
Right.
Flopsy, Mopsy.
Right, yeah.
Oh, God, this is going to be very unpleasant. Bugger.
So he's trying hard to be a man and impress her.
Right.
But what's funny about Hugh Grant is that he isn't
He's not
manly in that regard.
Not in that regard. He's more of a feminine male.
And Englishman, an English gentleman.
Well,
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I would say like 007 is.
Oh, is he an English gentleman?
I mean, like a masculine.
Well, right.
You know.
Yeah. But Hugh Grant is
and
on the other side.
yeah, he's very secure though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he will say whoopsie daisies, which I use. I like
Well, you are a lady.
whoopsie daisies, but she was saying, you know, like nobody has said that. But I feel like I don't know, maybe that's more of a regional thing.
She's a celebrity, so she's out of touch.
Right? Maybe. Yeah.
Her character
Right.
is
Yeah.
out of touch.
Yeah. But I did. Yeah. I love the movie because it is an interesting exploration of, you know, fame, and it makes some good points. I feel like probably she did that role because I think it was truthful about, you know, what do celebrities experience.
What do they go through,
I mean, there are things I'm sure that make it really difficult to have an actual functional relationship. So.
But does the money make it better?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
know.
she makes it clear in the movie, like this fame stuff, it's fake. It's not real. Like reality is just a relationship that you have with somebody,
Right.
and the fame, you know, you have to just
It'll
kind of
pass.
yeah.
Years,
when
what
the,
did she
yeah.
say? Years down the road, she'll just be that girl who used to be in something.
Yeah,
Right.
I wish you would have picked that scene, because if I was going to pick a scene, it would have been her little speech there where she says, you know, I will get old. And that is true. Like when an actress who is known for her looks gets old, it becomes harder and harder for them to get roles. And so they
Right.
just kind of fade out of the public spotlight.
Or they do.
Or, yeah, yeah, they get
And then everybody can see it. It's like, what are you trying to like prove to people?
right. It is kind of sad,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So,
I thought about this one or either the horse and hound interview scene. But you can look that up if you'd like to see it.
yeah, that's a good one.
All right, so on to your
Number two.
Number two.
So my number 2 is You've Got Mail.
Ah,
Which,
very good.
Again, I mean, I feel like it's a little bit better than the two that we've discussed so far. I'm not sure why that is. This is a movie that I have watched I don't know how many times. I mean, I just, every time I flip by, you know, if it's like on TV, like for on vacation or something, I'll want to watch it. And I think, one, Tom Hanks, he's an incredible actor.
Yeah, other than Mazes and Monsters.
Yeah. Other than that one, it's just, it's an interesting movie because they're communicating by email, which, you know, back in the day, like this one was made in the 90s. So email was a new thing.
Yeah.
People didn't always have email. There weren't always, well, now they're not even really chat rooms. It used to be that you would log on to the internet and you could get into chat rooms. And this was a very new thing. Like the idea of just kind of meeting people from new places, like you could instantly communicate with people like from Minnesota or from California. It was very strange.
Well,
like
all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it didn't necessarily have to be in America, but it was a new kind of thing. And so this movie kind of hits on all that. It's actually a remake of an older movie called The Shop Around the Corner.
Right, yeah.
And I can't remember who it's got in it. Maybe Cary Grant.
I don't remember. Yeah.
But they're communicating just by email at first, and I think it's an interesting thing because, well, nowadays so many people really do meet on the internet, but it's a bit different because it's like an app and there's
and
you know
pictures.
I mean,
and
I
video,
really
I'm sure.
I don't even really know enough to comment upon it, but there's like the
Swipe
old
left? I don't know.
Yeah.
Which one does that do?
Yeah, the old movie, The Shop Around the Corner, they're doing handwritten letters, and in this movie they're just doing email. But I feel like even email is different than what people do these days, which is like a messenger maybe type situation where it's like short little things. You know, a lot of times there's like a little there's a way to, you have to keep it under a certain length. You know,
She knows a lot about online dating.
No, I'm just saying, you know, like a lot of times you have the little indicator at the bottom where it's like this many characters left. Whereas an email, you could make it, you know. And so that's what they do. They meet in a chat room and then they're learning about each other. Little do they know, they are bitter rivals in real life. He is a...
Hey, people might not have seen this 30-year-old movie.
Well, yeah, spoiler alert. But, you know, he is a very successful businessman. He has like a chain of bookstores. And she has this one little bookshop that used to be her mom's. And so they decide finally they're going to meet. And so when he gets to the restaurant or the little coffee shop, and he sees that it's her, he almost doesn't go in because he thinks, this woman hates me, we hate each other. Right. Why should I go in? But he does the right thing, and he goes in, but he doesn't reveal who he is.
Right, that he's there as the guy from the email.
They've already met. They know they're bitter rivals. So in this scene, they've already talked a little bit, and I think this scene kind of gets to the heart of, you know, what exactly she is feeling.
Okay.
You know what that hanky reminds me of? First day I met you.
First day you lied to me.
I didn't lie to you.
You did too.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
You did too.
I did not.
You did too.
I did not.
Yeah, you did too. I thought all that Fox stuff was so charming. F-O-X.
Well, I didn't lie about it.
Joe. Just call me Joe. As if you were one of those stupid 22-year-old girls with no last name. Hi, I'm Kimberly. Hi, I'm Janice. Don't they know you're supposed to have a last name? It's like they're an entire generation of cocktail waitresses.
Look. I am not a 22-year-old cocktail waitress.
That is not what I meant.
And when I said the thing about the price club and the cans of olive oil, well, that's not what I meant.
Oh, you poor sad multimillionaire. I feel so sorry for you.
Yes, that's not him.
A wild guess that that's not him either. So who is he, I wonder? Certainly not, I gather, the world's greatest living expert on Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, but somebody else entirely different. Will you be mean to him too?
No, I will not. Because the man who is coming here tonight is completely unlike you. The man who is coming here tonight is kind and funny. He's got the most wonderful sense of humor.
But he's not here.
Well, if he's not here, he has a reason, because there is not a cruel or careless bone in his body. But I wouldn't expect you to understand anybody like that. You need your theme park, multi-level, homogenize the world, mochaccino land. You've deluded yourself into thinking that you're some sort of benefactor bringing books to the masses. But no one will ever remember you, Joe Fox. And maybe no one will remember me either, but plenty of people remember my mother. And they think she was fine, and they think her store was something special. You are nothing but a suit.
That's my cue. Good night.
So, who is the real monster? She was kind of mean.
She was
right
really
there,
mean.
right?
Yeah. And earlier in the movie, she talks about how, you know, she's always trying to say what she feels inside. Like, you know, like somebody's really mean to you, and then you think about it, you know, you say nothing,
Right.
but then you eventually figure out like, I should have said that. And she's just really letting him have it at this point. And she's stressed because her business is in trouble. And he, you know, obviously he's the enemy. And so it's interesting because she's saying, you know, the person I know, you know, this guy that I'm waiting on would never do it, you know, anything bad, and yet at the same time it is him. He is this guy. And so I think it's an interesting exploration of, you know, the way you might think about somebody online. You know, if you've never really met them, you may have a certain kind of idealized it's easy to do that, I think. Like, not, I mean, sometimes it's one way and sometimes it's the other. You know, you can either like think the person is perfect and they have no flaws, because, you know, when you're typing things, you have a lot of time to think about, you know, what's gonna, you know, you can present kind of more of a perfected version.
You can say it and then say that's not right and get rid of it and then say it again and figure out is that what
life
I was
is
trying to say?
a lot messier, which I think is a good point about, you know, the difference between, say, you know, the metaverse or whatever type of thing is coming where, you know, people are going to be like trying to have reality when it's not reality, it's going to be very different because reality, you have flaws, you have foibles, you stick your foot in your mouth. I mean, people do that online too, but it is different. There's, when you're typing things, like you can just type it out and then backspace, figure out something better to say. But in real life, it's just messier. So.
Yeah. I think that reality is real.
Yeah, and it's better, preferable, way preferable. So,
okay, so that was your number 2.
Yeah, great movie. I just, it's very, very, very good.
Yeah, it didn't make my list. It would have been. It wasn't in my top 3, but
no, your top 5 even.
I think probably but it's not in my top 3, and that's what we're talking about now. And so my number 2 is While You Were Sleeping.
That's my number 1.
Oh, really?
Well,
we'll be able to talk about it here, and then we'll just see if we picked similar scenes or not. But it is a really good one. I'm especially interested in the movie because of the story of the writers, how they wrote wrote it, and it's such a great movie.
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Again, best rom-com.
Yeah.
Maybe my favorite romantic comedy.
Well, it should be. It's your number 1 on the list. We just did 90s. That's right.
Of all the things. Yeah.
But it's like, and then they didn't do or they wrote other things, but just never got made into movies.
Yeah, that was interesting. They said they had this one hit, and then they were trying to, they had all this other stuff, but the deal would happen, but then the movie wouldn't get made, and that was really frustrating.
Yeah,
so.
Made me not want to be a writer. So this movie, While You Were Sleeping, Sandra Bullock is a token taker on I guess it's the subway, but there's also elevated trains. But anyway, this guy Peter falls onto the tracks, and
she's already in love with this guy.
Yeah, she sees him coming.
She sees him every
never
day,
talks to him, anything like that.
In her mind, she just thinks of him as like this gorgeous guy that she could live happily ever after with.
But then he falls onto the tracks, and she jumps down there to save his life, and then it ends up there at the hospital, and there's some miscommunication and confusion, and the nurse's staff thinks that she is Peter's fiance or girlfriend, and she tells that to Peter's grandpa, or he's a friend of the family, but he's kind of like a grandpa.
Yeah.
And then that starts this whole thing of a miscommunication where they think that Sandra Bullock, Lucy, is in a relationship with Peter. But for Peter's brother Jack, something doesn't jive.
Yeah, Jack is Bill Pullman.
Yeah,
which he does a great job in this movie.
Yeah, and he is kind of in love with Lucy. He doesn't know her until then, but he just kind of, falls in love with her as it's going along.
Right.
Yeah. So the scene that I've picked is when they're having a conversation about miscommunication, and I think it's New Year's Eve that they're doing this.
Okay, now, all right, what about the other thing?
The other thing? The other misunderstanding?
Why did you think I was pregnant?
Well, Mary said that she had heard something like that.
And you believed her?
I didn't have any reason not to believe her.
So the only reason your brother would want to marry someone like me is if I was pregnant, right?
No.
Good night.
So they're not together at this point.
No.
He still thinks.
Fact is, you're not really Peter's
something
type.
Here.
Yeah, Jack. All right, whose type am I? Thank you.
Look, it's a great idea, you and Peter. It's just not obvious to the whole world.
You know what, Jack? I've had a really lousy Christmas. You've just managed to kill my New Year's. If you come back on Easter, you can burn down my apartment.
Hey, come on, Lucy.
What do you want from me, Jack?
I want you not to be unhappy.
And what are you, the happiness guru, Jack? Are you happy? Because I don't remember you having had a conversation with your father. I mean, you do want to leave the business, don't you? Is this just like another miscommunication that we are having here?
What do you know about my family? Spending a week with them does not make you an expert.
Spending a lifetime with them hasn't made you one either.
There's a lot of good back and forth here.
Yeah, well, I know that keeping your family happy gets complicated. Would your father be happy knowing you're sitting in a token booth planning vacations that you aren't taking?
No, he wouldn't. You're right. So you have no idea what it's like to be alone.
Hey, you have Peter.
I don't have anybody.
So she's telling him the truth there, right? Because she doesn't have Peter. But I thought that this scene was good because it is a lot of times in romantic comedies, there's a lot of miscommunication, and then everybody just goes their separate way. And it's like, why don't you guys just talk about this?
One simple conversation.
Like, be a little realistic here. It's like this movie goes against that.
Right. Yeah.
That whole deal, like that predictable whatever. So I like that, and how they just kind of.
Right. Yeah. And there are a lot of interesting, family dynamic type things. What is the right way when you, like, he's wanting to leave the business. It's hard to have that conversation. But at the same time, it's important to have the difficult conversation.
Yeah.
So.
I say, let's watch your scene so we can see what's going on here.
Yes. So the scene I picked is Lucy discovers that she has feelings for Jack. And so she's about to talk to her boss about the entire situation. Again, she is alone. Like, she doesn't have family. And so her boss is kind of her confidant.
Right. Who is always asking her to work holidays and all that. So he kind of needs to be there for her, right? Because she has nobody else.
Right.
Having an affair. I like Jack.
Who's Jack?
Peter's brother.
So?
So he thinks I'm engaged.
To who?
Peter.
Listen, I really don't have time for this.
Oh, no. You have to tell me what to do.
Tell the truth.
If I tell Jack that I lied to his family, he will never speak to me again. And Ox, and Midge, and Mary, and Saul.
Saul? Who's Saul?
It's the next door neighbor. You know what? Actually, he knows.
Lucy, you're born into a family. You do not join them like you do the Marines.
You have to tell me what to do.
Pull the plug.
You're sick.
I'm sick. You're cheating on a vegetable.
Oh, that's good. I was going to pick that scene too. That's a good one.
Yeah. I think it's a good example of how some situations seem so complicated, but really, if you just tell the truth, I mean, his advice is spot on. It's like, once you realize you're kind of in a web of, like this thing happened and you didn't mean to be dishonest. Best thing to do is just tell the truth.
Yeah.
It's going to be uncomfortable.
Don't let it go too far.
Yeah, it's like, because the longer you let it go on, the worse it's going to be. But
which they do end up at a wedding. So
yeah, they do.
It's that's too far.
Yeah, not to let it, not to give stuff away. But yeah, it's interesting. I think it's a funny movie because it does show you how, a little bit of truth, if you had just stopped initially when it was like, there's a misunderstanding, clear it up right away.
Yeah, that first night in the hospital. Just say, whoa, there's a misunderstanding.
Yeah, in this movie, I will say this too, it is very PG. There's like maybe one or two things that, for like younger kids.
Joe Jr. say some
tap
things.
the brakes a little bit. You might want to preview it before. I mean, like my 13-year-old daughter, I don't quite think she's there.
Right.
But yeah, it's compared to so many movies these days, like, it's very hard to find romantic comedies that are just kind of innocent and fun to watch. Yeah, it's like, they're mostly uncomfortable.
Yeah,
So-
they all go the wrong direction real quick.
Real
like
fast.
Like, that's the main point of a relationship.
Right,
And it's like, no, that's not what it's all about.
What romance is. Yeah.
So I bet you're wondering
I'm dying to
what
know.
could possibly be my
Yeah.
number one romantic comedy, and it's probably more of a guy pick romantic
interesting.
comedy than anything else.
I think that's a what would you call it? Like
misnomer?
Not misnomer. That word I'm looking for, but the idea that men don't like romantic comedies, I think that's not true.
Yeah,
I think men like them.
they call them chick
flicks,
right? But they're funny. Like when they're good,
Yeah,
they're good.
yeah.
So my number one is The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler.
Is that
and
even
Drew
in the
Barrymore.
90s?
Yes. Yeah, 98 I think is when it was made.
Really?
Yes. And it's definitely a romantic comedy.
You're going to have to convince me of this.
That it's a romantic comedy?
I mean, I guess it is. Yeah, I mean, I can see it. It's more silly. Like, I would call it more just a comedy than a romantic comedy, but
Well, we'll see what you say after the scene that I picked.
Okay.
So Adam Sandler is a wedding singer, and he gets left at the altar, right? Because the woman who was going to marry him liked him from years ago. She's like, I'm in love with you from 6 years ago when you were the lead singer of this rock band, and now you're a $60 a pop wedding singer, and that's not who I'm in love with anymore. And so there's some great scenes in this movie that are hilarious, but that I didn't choose because the romantic part of the movie is, well, there's several in the movie, but this one is the quintessential one.
And right now we're bringing you some in-flight entertainment. One of our first-class passengers would like to sing you a song inspired by one of our coach passengers. And since we let our first-class passengers do pretty much whatever they want,
the guy sitting next to Drew Barrymore is her fiance.
Yeah. I wanna make you smile whenever you're sad. Carry you around when your arthritis is bad. All I wanna do is grow old with you. I'll get you medicine when your tummy aches. Build you a fire if the furnace breaks. Oh, it could be so nice growing old with you. I'll miss you, kiss you, give you my coat when you are cold. Need you, feed you, even let you hold the remote control.
What the hell's that fruit doing here? Get out of the way! Excuse me, sir, I have to serve the beverages.
How you doing, sir? Chicken or fish?
You better get out of my way, Billy. You're gonna get hurt.
Oh, yeah?
Don't you talk to Billy Idol that way.
So let me do the dishes in our kitchen sink. Put you to bed when you've had too much to drink. Oh, I could be the man who grows old with you. I wanna grow with you.
That was the most beautiful song.
I got a confession to make. That song was about you.
So, see, it's romantic.
It is. That's actually incredibly romantic. And the main point of that song is growing old, you know, with the person. And that is truly what romance is about.
Right.
It's not about really the physical stuff. It's about, you know, being in like a relationship with someone permanently until you're dead.
Right.
And so it is about growing old, and that is very romantic.
Yeah, and so her fiance earlier in the movie, he's this real macho
Don. I was going to say matzo guy.
Don Johnson, Miami Vice kind of guy, drives a DeLorean. And so Drew Barrymore is sick, and he's telling her, don't throw up in the DeLorean, it'll smell. And just before that, Robbie, Adam Sandler, was helping her to the car, and he's doing all this
holds her
good
hair
stuff.
back, right? When
Yeah, and even smells her hair when she asks if it stinks, and he says, no, it smells good, actually. So
that's true love.
Yeah, and so they talk about the important things in a relationship.
Right.
Julia is kind of being guided to go with the other guy because he's a stock trader and he's got money and
he's really successful.
There's security in it, and Robbie's just a musician. There's nothing there, but there's this attraction otherwise. And so they both learn some lessons about that kind of thing in life.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is a very romantic movie.
Maybe it's not the number one.
Yeah, I think it is good, and it's very funny, and it's got a great soundtrack. So
and I just love the scene where he's singing this song, that not this one right here, but he's singing a song for her about his relationship with the last girl, Linda. And so the first part of it he wrote when they were together, and the second part he wrote when they had broken up.
Yeah.
So
that's also
there's some language in there, but it's a
pretty funny scene.
Yeah, but it's pretty funny. And then John Lovitz ends it too.
Yeah.
So you check that out if you want to.
Yeah. So the top 3 for each of us.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention my other runner-up, which was Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
Hanks,
it's really good. It's Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, and it's really, really good. It also has Rosie O'Donnell, and it's a really good movie. But when it comes to just ones that I want to watch over and over and over again, those are the top 3 for me.
Yeah. Well, we hope that you guys enjoyed that. And if you want to list in the comments below your top 3 romantic comedies from the 90s. And if we haven't seen them, maybe we'll check them out.
Yeah.
Since you're still here, wanted to let you know about my children's book that is available on Amazon in print and ebook. It's called The Pirate Skeleton Who Lost His Teeth. So won't you and your children help Scully find his lost teeth? So with that being said, thanks for joining us. And until next time,
keep grinding.